What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus package update, stimulus check update, daily news, everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., with our economy, everything you need to know about, including money, investing, the stock market. And if you're new to our channel, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about. We got several different states announcing new stimulus type measures for their residents, major states as well. We have new talks about stimulus checks and stimulus packages, including some stimulus checks going out to some specific groups of people here in the new year. And we got a lot of different things to discuss here, so we're going to jump right in. And yeah, there's a lot. So here we go. Okay, first up, the state of Texas has approved emergency SNAP food assistance benefits extended for the state of Texas for January 2022. You can see here the Texas Health and Human Services Commission will provide more than $307 million in emergency SNAP food benefits for the state of Texas. The allotments are expected to help more than 1.5 million Texas households, according to a new press release. As Texans ring in the new year, this additional support will help families start the 2022 new year with food on the table for themselves and their children. With Texas HHS Access and Eligibility Service Deputy Executive Commissioner Wayne Salter said. HHSC received federal approval from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, to extend the maximum allowable amount of SNAP benefits to recipients based on family size, and all SNAP households will receive a minimum of $95 in emergency allotments. So this is a emergency benefit extended here, and it says it will be a minimum of $95 extended in emergency allotments for SNAP benefits in Texas. It says this additional emergency allotment should appear in recipients' accounts by January 31st here for Texas recipients. So pretty awesome there, and I hope that more states continue these pandemic emergency benefits as well. Also, the state of New York announcing student loan forgiveness for borrowers in New York just got easier. New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced plans to protect student loan borrowers in the state. Those plans include an easier application process for public service loan forgiveness and stopping transcript withholding. This comes amid a nearly 2-year pause on student loan payment that have now been extended until May 1st from the Biden administration. The New York governor says to better support New Yorkers facing high debt burdens, Governor Hochul will invest in effective student debt assistance programs focused on helping New Yorkers navigate the student loan repayment system. With this investment, the governor will help ensure even more New Yorkers can finally say, I am student debt free. According to the report, the governor plans to protect the student loan borrowers in 4 ways, 3 of which are intended to make loan forgiveness more accessible. So if you're from New York and this might apply to you, I definitely recommend you look into this, Google it, and look into the details because just might mean more student loan forgiveness for you. Remember that President Biden last year did forgive about $11.5 billion in student loan forgiveness, mostly for people that their schools closed on them, their schools defrauded them, students, or I should say adults that have permanent disabilities, or they're in public service student loan forgiveness programs. So several different things, $11.5 billion have already been forgiven, and there's probably going to be a lot more on the federal level this year. And of course, President Biden says he's considering doing $10,000 or more for everybody with student loan forgiveness. Democrats are pushing for as high as $50,000 of student loan forgiveness this year. I will keep you up to date on this as well. Another possibility is if and when that happens, there's about 1 in 6 adults that have student loans. What about the other 5 out of 6 people that don't have student loans? There are other possibilities. A lot of people thought that student loan forgiveness would never happen. If you go back like 10 years, people thought that student loan forgiveness was a joke. Well, now it's actually happening. Just $11.5 billion just last year alone. And there's probably going to be even more than that this year, maybe even hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's a real thing. It's happening. And the question is after that happens or even more that happens, will there be other types of debt forgiveness like for the other people, like credit card debt forgiveness, medical debt forgiveness, tax debt forgiveness? That can actually happen because the government can simply waive some of that, especially like tax debt forgiveness and other types of debt that the government owns, like the government owns tax forgiveness and even mortgage debt forgiveness because the government owns Freddie Mae or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So the government can simply waive some of that, or can waive some debt forgiveness through stimulus packages as well, like credit card debt forgiveness. So those are possibilities that could come in the future as well for people who didn't get student loan debt forgiveness. So I will keep you up to date on possibilities for that as well in the future as well. Remember, people thought student loan debt forgiveness would never happen, and now they're doing tens of billions of dollars of student loan debt forgiveness. So these are very real possibilities, and I will keep you up to date. Right now, lawmakers are considering and working on planning, going over details between Republicans and Democrats. There's actually bipartisan support for a new virus stimulus relief package, a new emergency stimulus relief package because of how bad virus cases are. We had 1 million people test positive just a few days ago. Then we had 885,000 people test positive a few days ago as well. And then 700,000 people test positive yesterday. That does not even include people with at-home tests. So who knows how many more people on top of that are testing positive as well. And even Republicans and Democrats, lawmakers from both sides, are considering a new stimulus relief package for businesses, as well as possible stimulus checks, maybe even more food assistance programs like SNAP benefits. Everything is on the table because of how bad the pandemic is, as well as the Build Back Better package. In addition, paid family medical leave. That's one of the really big items that's kind of in question because there's millions of people out sick right now on medical leave that don't have paid medical leave. It's kind of ironic that there's millions of people on medical leave without paid medical leave during a pandemic, and we're the only first world country in the world to not offer paid medical leave on a federal basis. That's one of the things that has really kind of got me here the last few days, how bad the pandemic has got, and we're the only country to not offer that. It's really sad. Think about the millions of people that are out right now in quarantine that have tested positive and not getting a paycheck. Think about how many people are hurting right now. Think about how many people are just missing out on paychecks and potentially not being able to feed their family. I mean, think about how many people live paycheck to paycheck. Tens of millions of people and are missing now a paycheck or two or three, depending on how bad their case is. Think about how many families are have multiple people in their families that are sick. I've seen a lot of comments on our YouTube channel here. People saying there's 6 people in their family sick, 4 people in their family sick. People saying the husband and the wife are sick and their kids are sick. Yeah, I mean, paid family medical leave is the one that has kind of really touched me here this week. Um, it's a very sad fact. It's a very sad fact that we don't have that. Yeah, and before I used to really think about it for the pregnant women would go to give birth, and that's another thing that's really dear to my heart. because my wife, when she gave birth to our son, she almost died. She had preeclampsia, and you know, we don't have paid family medical leave either because we just kind of run our own businesses here. Um, we didn't Nobody paid for our leave either. But my wife had preeclampsia, and when she went to give birth to our son Julian, her blood pressure went to like 200 over 150, and they had to send in like it's almost what I would call like a SWAT team. It wasn't a SWAT team, but it looked like them. They sent in like 10 people, all dressed in like hazmat type suits without the headpiece, and there was like 10 people they sent in there, and she was on magnesium, and they were prepared for her to die. Crazy story, true, 100% true, and they were prepared for the worst, and everything came out okay. But maybe I'll have my wife pop up a picture here of when Julian was born, if we can find it. But it was a really scary time, and my wife, if we had regular jobs, we're entrepreneurs, we don't work traditional jobs or anything like that. But she couldn't have been able to go back to work on Monday. My wife said they didn't even let her out of the hospital. She was on magnesium for like a couple days where she couldn't even move. She was literally like,
They kept me for 4 days, and remember on the fourth day,
here, come here.
they didn't want to let me go home because my blood pressure was still wonky. Yeah, so they didn't want to let me go home, and my obstetrician told the hospital, just let her go home. Thank God.
Now that was days later,
Yeah.
and think about how many women deal with that, let alone go back to work 2 days later, and let alone take care of your child. And now we're in a pandemic. It's a sad fact. It's one of those things that should have been passed years ago. Years ago. It's like, why is that not passed? It's one of those benefits. It's like Social Security. It's like, thank God that, and honestly, if you look back in our history, Social Security was passed after the Great Depression. And as sad as it is to say, sometimes it takes things like a pandemic or a Great Depression for things like this to get exacerbated, and for really bad things to come around, for the country to realize that, oh my gosh, we're missing this, and this. And that's when the Social Security program and the unemployment programs were created, and food assistance was created way back to the Great Depression. Imagine if we never created a Social Security program, the unemployment program. Imagine if you lost your job and there was no unemployment, and you lost your job, and then government didn't help you out with assistance for that temporary time. Imagine if there was no Social Security program and people essentially couldn't retire. Of course, you could save on your own, but we know that Social Security program is a social safety net that our country needs, right? Now, imagine if those programs were never created. And the Great Depression, as bad as the Great Depression was, those social programs, those social safety nets, came out of the Great Depression. And when we look back on this pandemic, hopefully we eradicate this at some point. We might look back 20 or 30 years from now and say, you know what? Some of these programs were created, paid family and medical leave, reducing the cost of prescription drug prices, whatever we end up creating out of this here. We might say, you know what? Some good things came out of this. You let me know your thoughts in the comments. There is another COVID stimulus check coming to some workers in 2022 that people need to claim here pretty soon here. Here's the details on this. New virus stimulus checks are coming in 2022 to some U.S. workers. Almost 2 years after the start of the pandemic, some of the hardest hit workers in essential industries are in line for some new federal help for the expenses they took on as they worked through the crisis. Many had to dip into their own pockets to pay for employment essentials, including protective equipment and childcare. Now the government is getting ready to provide up to $700 million in financial relief, essentially a new type of stimulus check, and applications will be accepted soon. Those who may qualify will have the chance to receive money they can use to cover household expenses or pay down debt. Farm workers and meat packing plant workers will be able to receive money through a new Farm and Food Workers Relief Grant program that was announced last fall. U.S. Department of Agriculture says grocery workers will also be eligible for some cash. Apparently, they have not distributed this money yet. The Americans who qualify for the payments are all who work in food related industries, where sheltering in place or working from home during the pandemic has not been possible. State agencies, nonprofit, and tribal entities have until February 8th to apply to the government for the fund, which those groups will receive in June. I don't know why they're taking so long to send out this money. They're going to send it out in June. It's one of those things that it's just like, why do they take so long to send this money out? Workers will apply to those groups to receive their payments. I guess it's good that they're sending out some more checks to specific groups, but man, send the money out already. They're going to send the money out in June? Alrighty. Farm workers and meat packers are entitled to up to $600 per person for pandemic health and safety related costs, childcare, and expenses and testing and quarantining. Approximately $20 million of the $700 million pool will be set aside for grocery store employees. President Biden also announced yesterday that insurance companies must reimburse you for at-home virus tests. So this is another way that you might be able to get some money back. So you know those at-home virus tests that cost like $20 or $30 a piece? Well, your insurance company must reimburse you for these at-home tests. So this could mean some money back to you. If you bought like 4 of them, that's $100 a pop, or $100 total here coming back to you. So keep this in mind. You might be glad I told you this. Yeah, so Joe Biden announced Tuesday, January 4th, that as of next week, insurance companies will reimburse the purchase of at-home virus tests. He says next week, our requirement that your insurance companies reimburse you for at-home tests takes effect. In December, the White House announces it will purchase a $500 million at-home tests, and this winter will be distributed for free to Americans who want them, with initial delivery starting in January. It's not clear if insurance companies will be required to reimburse you for these at-home tests if you bought them previously, but if you have the receipts, it's worth a try, because they may or they may not. So and by all means, if you buy any more, save your receipts, because they're going to be forced to reimburse you here going forward. So I will keep you up to date with everything stimulus related, as well as what's going on here with our country and everything you need to know about on a daily basis. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And after subscribing, click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button to get reminders when we go live every day. You can also click the share button down below to share this video with your family and friends, or invite them to the channel so that they don't miss out as well. I'll be covering stimulus checks as well as state stimulus checks and state stimulus programs. There's going to be a lot of those in 2022 that you won't want to miss out on as well. Some you need to apply for, but you can literally get thousands and thousands of dollars, like rent assistance, mortgage assistance, utility assistance. You can get your rent paid for up to 12 months, and I'll link you to a video on that here in just a second. You can click here to watch my newest video next, And you can click here about how to get your rent paid for up to 12 months for free, how to get $80,000 in mortgage assistance for homeowners, and how to get $1,500 in utility assistance. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.